I think we can go ahead and start.
Okay. I'd like to call to order the Malibu City Council special meeting of October 12th, 2020. This meeting is being held by teleconference due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and we will appreciate everyone's patience while we navigate this Zoom meeting process. May I have a roll call?
Councilmember Mullen?
Here.
Councilmember Wagner? Councilmember Wagner, if you want to maybe wave, you're giving me a thumbs up to indicate you're here. Thank you. Councilmember Fair, now that you're here. Councilmember Fair is waving to indicate she's here. Mayor Pro Tem Peak
Is here.
And Mayor Pearson.
I am here. And before we move to any public comments on the closed session items, I just want to let people know that the one closed session item is a review. There's not a contract. We're not discussing contract or pay raises or anything like that tonight. I saw some emails on that, so I just wanted to address that. It's limited in scope. And with that, do we have any public speakers?
We have 3 speakers on the public employee performance evaluation item. They are Bruce Silverstein, Lance Simmons, and Andy Lyon. Our first speaker will be Bruce Silverstein.
Great. Bruce, are you there?
Hey, yes, I am. Good afternoon. Okay, so the city manager's performance review should be postponed until the new members of city council, who will be elected in a few weeks, are seated, and the evaluation should be conducted publicly and not in closed session. The agenda states, based on the advice of the city attorney, discussion in open session concerning these matters would prejudice the position of the city in this litigation. That applies only to the litigation issue. It doesn't apply to the city manager performance evaluation. There is no litigation. That's the only explanation given for the reason the meeting's being conducted in closed session. I understand that it applies to the litigation. It doesn't apply to the city manager's performance evaluation. As I repeatedly have said to council, the law does not require that performance evaluations be conducted in a closed session. Rather, it's up to the discretion of city council to determine whether to conduct the review in private or in public. In order to exercise that discretion, you have to discuss the issue at a meeting and take a vote. That's never occurred. Instead, the city manager herself has placed this on the agenda for a closed session discussion. The city manager lacks the authority to make that self-interested and conflicted decision. You need to make it. Aside from it being inappropriate to conduct this performance evaluation in a closed session without first publicly deciding whether that is the city council's preference, this performance evaluation should not be taking place today at all, not even publicly. In 3 weeks, the residents will be voting to fill a majority of the seats of city council. At a bare minimum, council members Wagner and Peak will not be on city council following the election, and it remains to be seen whether council member Mullen will gain re-election. It may well be the case that 3 people not currently on city council will be the majority of city council in just a few weeks. The city manager's review should be postponed and rescheduled until after the new city council members are seated, which will be happening fairly soon. There's no urgency that requires that this performance review occur today, other perhaps than the city manager's desire to have the review conducted before new council members are elected, who've made it publicly known that they're critical of her performance. This should not occur today. It should not occur behind closed doors. The city should be conducted openly in the light of day, and it should be done with new council members. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce.
Our next speaker is Lance Simmons.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Lance.
Okay, great. Good afternoon, everyone. These are tumultuous times, and as one who is actively seeking to join you on the dais, I can certainly attest to the difficulties you face on a daily basis. Ordinarily, the prerogatives of choosing the time, place, and conditions upon which to conduct a critical performance evaluation of the city manager should rest squarely upon your shoulders. Normally, I would be disposed to trust your collective judgment as to how to proceed with the duties and responsibilities of your respective offices. I have no issue with conducting the review in closed session and believe that it is a totally appropriate exercise of your powers and can afford an honest, sincere, and candid assessment of the city manager's performance. However, in these extraordinary times, the city manager's position and the city manager herself have become a lightning rod in the current city council race. Some have even gone so far as to make candidates' position on retaining or firing the city manager a key, if not the key issue in this race. I have rejected that proposition, and if elected, will make a decision based upon actual interactions and comfort with the professionalism of the city manager and her staff before entertaining a decision on termination. Let there be no mistake regarding my position, however. I am firmly wedded to the notion that it is the city council's responsibility and duty to vote on the direction of legislative proposals and the city manager's duty and responsibility to give advice, but ultimately implement the will and decisions of the council. Thus, it is as much the responsibility of the council to adhere to this process as it is for the city manager and staff to abide by the decisions rendered by our elected representatives. In the current environment, with tensions in the community running high, I sincerely believe that the most prudent course of action is to withhold the performance evaluation until after the November 3rd election, when it is possible that a majority of the council may be comprised of individuals who have just been elected and feel it is especially important for them to be involved in such a momentous decision. It is inconsistent and hypocritical for me to hold a definitive position upon the current situation regarding the appointment of a Supreme Court justice, in which I strongly feel that Congress should similarly wait until after the election before consideration of an individual who may very well be holding the deciding vote on critically important issues that affect us all. Personally and professionally, I feel that the performance evaluation would be better received by the public at large, and in fairness to the candidates running for 3 council seats, those who are elected should be involved in the process. Therefore, I would like to respectfully suggest that the process be postponed until after the November 3rd, 2020 election. Thank you for your consideration of this request.
Our final speaker will be Andy Lyon.
Hey, I just want to echo what Bruce had to say. I wasn't really sure what was going on with this review. As on the agenda item, it just said a performance evaluation, and being that it's in closed session, we don't have a lot of input, and the public doesn't either. And I think that that's really important for everybody, that it should be transparent. But also, it's been the standard procedure for extending contracts, and I'm glad that you clarified that, Mikey, that this isn't a contract extension and this isn't a contract or a pay increase or anything, because it seems that's just been the standard operating for, I don't know, decades, where the incoming council is strapped with a contract of, overlapping 2 years into the future for the future council coming in. So I would hope that this can get pushed to after November's election, and that, we aren't looking at any kind of a quick push to extend contracts or pay raises. All right, that's about it. I'm going to go jump in the water. Bye.
Thank you, Andy. And just a quick last note before we go here. The new council, we don't want to fall behind. So I get it, what you're saying, but the new council, we can decide to call for another round of reviews. That's within our prerogative. So there's really no issue there, but falling behind on the review schedule due to COVID was not a great option either. So anyhow, thank you. And we will now recess to closed session, discuss the item listed on the closed session agenda. We'll rejoin this teleconference at 6:30 to hear the closed session report and begin the regular meeting. Thank you, everybody. Okay, we are back from closed session. Christy, would you give a report, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Today, a special meeting was convened at 4:30. After public comment, we recessed to a closed session with all council members present. The city met and discussed the items that are listed on the posted agenda pursuant to Government Code Section 54957 and 54956.9A1 or D1. We recessed at 6 o'clock to reconvene at this meeting and took no reportable actions. And that concludes my report.